Hello, welcome everyone to another video discussion of free answer writing program by Vajiram and Ravi. In the month of January, we are going to do GS2 and we are going to focus on prelims concept, but we are going to do mains answer writing. Today, the topic is going to be Panchayat Raj and Municipality. We have seen in past, in mains, the questions have been hovering around funds, functions, functionality, functionaries of the local self-government. We have also seen certain level of comparison between the urban local self-government's body and the Panchayat Raj institution. So today our questions are going to be of similar topics. And we also have to understand they also have dedicated implication on your prelims preparation. We have certain constitutional articles that can directly reflect in your prelims paper as well. So let us start with the overview of the question. The very first question we are looking at is the empowering of urban local bodies where they have direct impact on the sustainable development. For this question, we are going to see the potential of strong ULB and what are the steps needed to empower them. For Panchayat Raj institution and urban local body, as in local self-governance, you have some similar templates that you can use throughout multiple types of question. In the introduction, you can either talk about certain current affairs, you can talk about constitutional articles or any reports. In the body, you have multiple blocks to tackle. Over here, we are going to see the potential of strong ULB, as in the role of strong ULB, and certain measures to empower them. For the second question, we will be looking at that specific application of role for Panchayat Raj institution, which are rural local self-governance bodies. We will see how they help with respect to decentralization in India. The third question, we are going to see what are the factors that hinder effective grassroots democracy while suggesting measures for robust local self-governance system at village level. So again, we are going to see questions for Panchayat Raj over here. So you must have figured out what exactly is the framework with which you have to prepare this kind of topic. In the introduction, you have constitutional articles, reports, or some current affair. For body, we have multiple blocks. You can talk about role, you can talk about challenges, you can talk about certain measures taken and to be taken. And in the conclusion, you have the opportunity to inculcate either significance of those bodies to realize what exactly was the mandate for the same, as in significance of local self-governance. So these are the kind of blocks that you must prepare while tackling this kind of topics. Let us start with the very first question. Let's see the first question together. In an increasingly urbanized India, empowering urban local bodies hold the key to sustainable development. Discuss the statement highlighting the potential of strong ULB and steps needed to empower them. Now, the very first statement over here is kind of something as a fodder you can use for introduction. It is talking about that how we are witnessing increased urbanization. We have certain data points that you can inculcate in the intro. Current affairs, data points. Then, if you go further and read the question, you will realize in the body we have two headings. The first heading is the potential of strong ULB, how it can help with respect to realizing the sustainable development goals. And in the heading 2, we are talking about way ahead steps. Now, if you understand, if this question was for 15 marker, you had the opportunity to inculcate a heading in between as well, where you can talk about challenges. Now, if it is not the explicit demand, to make sure you have certain kind of narrative in your answer. At the end, answer writing is nothing but storytelling. So over here, you can do the same in mind map form. Just list down what are the challenges in mind map, take space for around 3 lines and that's about it. Then move on to the heading 2. And in the conclusion, you can talk about what exactly is the significance You can also give certain proof points, as in certain examples where we have seen that how the strong ULBs have transformed those specific regions. So you can give certain proof points. So let us start with the introduction for this question. Over here, as we are talking about urbanization, you can cite certain data points. You can talk about that how by 2050 we are looking at urbanization at the rate of 50 to 60%. There are multiple reports having certain kind of different numbers. You can cite any specific and ensure that you have certain backing of number in the introduction. So you can talk about 50 to 60% of India's population is going to be in urban areas by 2050. Now these kind of numbers, they push certain kind of urgency with respect to the reforming of urban local governance. And before understanding the reform part, we have to ensure that we also understand why they have certain degree of potential. So let us start with the heading 1, where we will be talking about that how empowered ULBs free from financial shackles and bureaucratic hurdles could become, firstly, engines of economic growth. We have seen multiple proof points in India as well as around the world, where urban areas are the primary economic engine for the nation. You can talk about certain Surat's textile industrial boom and Make in India initiative with respect to Pune. You also have to understand that urbanization have certain cause and effect. And one of the primary moving factor over here is industrialization. Post LPG reforms, you can also talk about that how service sector has also captured the urban imagination. So that is something as engines of economic growth you can inculcate with the very first point. Second, you can talk about masters of infrastructure. We have seen that how municipalities such as Indore have transformed the entire municipality through efficient waste management, and we have seen that how it resonates with government's bigger picture of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. You have seen that how infrastructure development has been kind of primary factor with respect to the urbanization. For Delhi, we have seen that how the state government, the municipality and center have joined hands to make sure there are certain infrastructure development. Metro is one of the prime example. Third, champions of social well-being. We have seen that how ULBs, they commit to the inclusive development and social security. We have seen how integration of technology like smart cities have aided with respect to realization of the welfare schemes of the municipality and state, and at the end we also have center's policy also been realized. They are protector of environment. We have seen multiple initiatives of different municipalities, urban local bodies such as China's Green Drive, Bangalore's focus on renewable energy. We have seen this kind of initiative at the local level helps also with respect to making sure that the environmental goals and concerns are also addressed. And lastly, they are the pillar of participative democracy. You have to understand through urban local governance, the distance between the citizen and the representative is drastically shrinked, where they can directly engage with the elected leaders and have direct impact on the policy making of those specific institutions. So that is something we can inculcate for heading 1. Now, as we are talking about, you can talk about this heading in a form of a mind map, where you can put a challenges in the center and talk about how there are certain challenges with respect to the financial dependency on state grant. We have decentralization deficit, we have capacity building gap of ULB, we have technological disconnect in ULB operations. Let us understand each of them. Firstly, financial dependency, we have seen that how the financial decentralization has not been realized and ULBs are very much dependent on the state for funds. Second, with respect to decentralization deficit, despite the very nature of those institutions through 74th Amendment Act was to make sure that decentralization is realized. But we have seen that how state and center still dominate the discourse, and that kind of deficiency for decentralization is visible in ULBs. For capacity building gaps, we have seen that how they are overburdened, and for the same reason, their capacity building is also a major issue. Fourth, with respect to transparency and accountability concern, we have seen that how due to that kind of structures as in financial dependency, decentralization deficit, capacity building, the transparency aspect and accountability aspect is also not realized. The technological disconnect in ULB operations, we have seen that how despite there is certain degree of push for digital India, but factors such as digital divide is also impacting the entire idea in a negative way. For heading 2, you can inculcate crucial steps to bridge the gap and unlock the potential. Now you don't understand, right, why there was a necessity to put a mind map of challenges so that we can bridge the narrative directly from the potential to the steps needed. Firstly, there is need for financial autonomy. Over here, we have seen that how municipal bonds can also act as a kind of enabler for financial autonomy. Decentralization 2.0, where we can talk about streamlined bureaucratic processes and decision-making power can be delegated to ULBs by the state and the center. Investing in people, as in capacity building, transparency and accountability imperative. Over here, we are talking about audits, feedback grievance channels, and performance evaluation to ensure that the commensurate amount of funds are allocated for the efficient institutions. And lastly, smart city solution, we can talk about that how that integration of technology as envisaged in the smart city program should be realized, where improved service delivery and data-driven decision making with citizen engagement should be the primary focus. In the conclusion, you can highlight any successful model of ULB and conclude the answer with that trajectory. Over here, you have multiple options. You can talk about certain municipalities of Kerala where there have been instances of environmental concern and solutions with respect to the same. You can also talk about Indore as one of the example for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Apart from that, we have also seen multiple states and multiple municipalities collaborating to ensure that the potential of ULBs is realized. So that is something for the conclusion you can inculcate here. Let us see the model answer and understand how can we inculcate the same in our answer writing practice. In the introduction, you can start with the data point and then you can talk about the need for ULB. You can talk about the empowered ULB and its potential with proof points and examples. Then you can talk about the challenges in mind map form if it's a 10-marker question, which this is, but if it's a 15-marker question, you can expand the same. Then you can talk about the crucial steps needed to unlock the potential, and in the conclusion, you can give certain proof points and talk about way ahead. So that is all for question number 1. Let us move on to question number 2. Let's read the question number 2 together. Highlight the role of Panchayat Raj institution in promoting decentralized governance in India. Now this is again very straightforward question. Over here you have to only engage with one heading of the body, which is role of Panchayat Raj institution in promoting decentralized government. So this is going to be the heading 1 and the only heading of this question of the body. In the introduction, you can talk about the constitutional provisions so that we can engage with the role aspect in deeper manner in the body. In the conclusion, you can talk about the significance. So introduction, constitutional provisions, body, which is going to be the heading 1, role of Panchayat Raj institution. Do you think there is a similarity where we have in the past question talked about how they have potential as an urban local body? Do you think so there is some similarity with the role as well? There is one question which talks about the potential, what is going to be the impact, and role. Again, a similar type of question, but you have to create a block for the local self-government of rural areas. Then in the conclusion, you can talk about the significance of PRI. So let us start with the introduction. You can talk about it, how Panchayat Raj institution, which were inculcated, imbibed in the constitution through 73rd Amendment Act. We can also talk about that how there are certain provisions as in part of the constitution, such as Article 40 of DPSP, which also talks about Panchayat Raj institution. Then we have Part 9 again, which also talks about the Panchayat Raj institution. 9A talks about the municipalities. So this is the kind of difference you have to understand. So this is all about the introduction. Let us talk about the heading 1. Now you have to understand the keywords as in the role in promoting decentralized governance. First you have to understand what exactly is decentralized governance. Decentralized governance refers to the fact that power is distributed at multiple junctions, as in the local self-governance bodies. Over here we have seen how in India previously village republics existed and they exercise certain degree of influence for the working of the entire community. And that's how they were autonomous in a certain extent and thus the role of Panchayat Raj institution can also be realized for today's and today development perspective. Firstly, we can talk about local development and planning. We have certain articles 243G where they are empowered for development and planning. Community-led initiatives like Sirohi Adarsh Gram of Rajasthan is planned on civil lines. Then we have resource allocation as in local budgeting process. Kerala's Panchayat-led budgeting system have kind of impact with respect to the decentralized governance in India. Third is empowerment of marginalized group. As we are looking certain degree of decentralization, we are also allocating power in equal manner to those decentralized groups, and thereby inclusive decision making and empowerment of marginalized group is realized. Then accountability and transparency, the mandate of Article 243, where community scorecard kind of initiatives are practiced in Karnataka. Fifth, we have civic engagement as in active participation in decision making, contribution in informed and participatory democracy. So this is all for heading 1, the only heading of the body. In the conclusion, you can talk about the transformative role of Panchayat Raj institution in governance. Over here, you can talk about certain proof points. Good governance. So you can list down the elements of good governance over here, such as accountability, transparency. You can talk about effectiveness. You can talk about efficiency, and so on. You can list down the other elements as well. Let us see the model answer and understand how can we inculcate the same in our answer writing practice. In the introduction, you can talk about the constitutional provisions, key aspect of the rule in the heading 1 of the body. And in the conclusion, you can talk about the transformative role of Panchayat Raj institution. So that is all for question number 2. Let us move on to question number 3. Let us see question number 3. Let us read the question together. Discuss the factor that hinders effective grassroots democracy while suggesting measures for more robust local self-governance system at village level. Now, if you see this question, basically there are 2 demands. Firstly, factors that hinder effective. These are kind of heading 1 of the body, which is talking about challenges. Then in the second heading, we have measures for effective local self-governance at village level as in Panchayat Raj institution. For introduction, you can define about local self-governance, you can talk about the articles of local self-governance at village level, and in the conclusion, you can talk about the significance again. So in the introduction, you can talk about how local self-governance is reflection of decentralized system of governance to realize grassroots democracy. We have certain constitutional backing, which is 73rd Amendment Act for Panchayat Raj institution at village level. So that is for introduction. For the body, heading 1, we have to talk about the challenges. Limited financial autonomy, we have seen this kind of proof point for urban local self-governance as well. Second is political interference, as in influence on local election and prioritization of political consideration. This is something again similar for village and also at the urban level. Third is again capacity and skill gap. And fourth is social and cultural barrier. We have seen that how rural places, we have certain degree of discrimination based on social indicators. Mostly we have seen those discrimination in terms of casteism as well as gender discrimination. So that can also hinder the effective grassroots democracy of the local self-governance at village level. In the heading 2, you can talk about the measures to overcome the challenges. Firstly, financial empowerment. Second is capacity building, trained elected representative and administrative staff development. Third is legal and institutional reforms. And fourth is community awareness, where engagement can be realized. In the conclusion, you can talk about the significance of Panchayat Raj institution as in decentralized form of governance and grassroots democracy. So that is all for question number 3. Let us see the model answer and understand how to inculcate the same in answer writing practice. In the introduction, you can talk about constitutional provision, the purpose, the challenges you can list down with proof points, the measures you can list down with proof points, and lastly again the significance. So that is all for today's session. Keep writing and thank you so much.